Well, here for the Rural Radio Network, I'm Joe Gangwish, joined by Lane Grindle from the Husker Sports Network. Lane, congratulations on being the voice actually in Memorial Stadium.
It's quite an honor. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Really was very unexpected and kind of came out of left field, but what an honor. I grew up a Husker fan. To be able to be a part of the broadcast has been a lifelong dream of mine that I've been able to live for about 10 years now, and this is just another little twist to it all that is really been a lot of fun. A lot of my family have been able to come to games, and it's kind of been cool for them to hear my voice in the stadium. Something different.
Well, you said you're excited, of course, this week to be back on the road and do a little bit of sideline work.
Yeah, I am. I mean, that's obviously my home. Those are kind of my roots, is doing the sidelines, and so I've missed that part. I would be lying if I said I didn't over the last 2 weeks. It's kind of something I've done for about 14 years now. I've been a sideline reporter, whether it was with the University of South Dakota or now with Nebraska. So I'm excited to get back to my roots with that this weekend. And, of course, it's going to be a lot of fun to be on the field, you know, at Miami with the Hurricanes. I mean, this is what it's all about, is Nebraska and Miami. Last year's game was one of the best atmospheres I've ever been at. So to be able to be on the field in a road environment like this will be a lot of fun. Any
smack being talked back and forth this week at all?
I'm sure the fans have had plenty of it. I haven't seen a whole lot from either of the teams. Obviously, it was a real chippy game a year ago where there was a lot of smack being talked. A lot of those guys that were involved in those skirmishes have moved on, though. I mean, if you think back to those situations, I mean, from the Nebraska side, Randy Gregory and Josh Mitchell were kind of in the middle of some of those. Those guys have both moved on. And then on the Miami side, Eric Flowers seemed to be in the middle of all of it. He's moved on. Actually, he and Randy squared off in the NFL on Sunday. So I think some of the guys that really got caught up in the moment last year aren't with the programs anymore. I expect it to be a little bit tamer on the field between the two teams, because I think both coaching staffs probably have a lot of conversation about what happened last year and how do we avoid it happening again.
Give us your feel on the Mike Riley era as we get started. What's kind of the mood around Lincoln right now?
Well, people are really positive. They're very excited about what Mike Riley's brought to the table, not just from a football sense, but I think from an overall public image sense. He's a guy that gets that part of it. He's a very warm individual. People are very comfortable with him. They like the way he represents the program clearly, and it's hard to argue with that. I've had a chance to get to know him a little bit, not a lot yet, but I've been able to spend some time around him, and he is just as genuine when the cameras are off as he is when they're on, and that's a really special quality. There's a lot of coaches in college football that they put on a little bit of a show when the cameras are rolling, and then you get them in their office and maybe they're not the same guy. Mike is the same guy whether he's talking to somebody that is a parking attendant or whether he's talking to the President of the United States. He really doesn't change. I think that's a really stable quality that's going to be a good thing for the football program as you start to look at how it's going to affect the football side of things. I like the staff he's put together. I really like his offensive staff. I think Danny Langsdorf is going to be a big name in college football, or just in football in general, moving forward, and I like some of the things they're doing right now. It's a work in progress. They're not a finished product, certainly, and they're going to have their growing pains this year, but I think if you look closely, you can see some of the things that they're doing and how successful they have a chance to be down the road.
Let's talk about your broadcast team. Talk about what you put together there. You've got a bunch of good broadcasters working every week. Kind of talk about the team you put together.
Well, we love it because we have a group that has been together for a long time now, you know, and that's kind of rare in this day and age in radio. You do see in college football, there's a few broadcast teams that have been around for 30 or 40 years together, but those are getting fewer and further between because of all sorts of different things that come into play. And so Greg and Matt and I now, I believe, we're in the midst of our 8th season together, which isn't, it's not 30, but it's to a point where we have a real comfort with each other. We kind of know from a timing standpoint when it's good to make fun of each other, when it's good to kind of have a little bit of fun with the broadcast, or when it's time to focus in and really lock in because it's a tense moment. We all understand each other really well. When I have a sideline report, I don't have to say, Greg and Matt, back to you. I can stop talking and Greg knows immediately when I'm gonna. We just have a chemistry. It's been great for me. I've learned so much working with Greg over the years from a play-by-play standpoint, which is something I do, of course, as well with baseball. He's been able to teach me so much. Matt's one of my best friends on the planet, and the three of us, I really feel like, make each other better. So we're really fortunate that we get to work together. And this week we've all been talking about how excited we are for the three of us to be back together on the air, and we love Steve too, but we've just done so many broadcasts together that we're really excited about it.
We miss you on Sports Nightly, but we understand you have to have a life too.
Well, 4 kids made it really tough for me with Sports Nightly. I think it was after my second one that my wife looked at me and said, this 9:30 at night thing, we need to really reevaluate this. And it was always a goal to eventually, move out of that chair at some point. I did it for 5.5 years. I really enjoyed it. I felt like it really helped me. I grew up a Husker fan, but I didn't grow up in Nebraska. I grew up in Southwest Iowa, which is close enough. But I felt like it really helped me get ingrained in the program that much more because I was covering it on a daily basis. And so those 5.5 years were really fun for me. But like I said, I had 2 kids at the time. We've now grown to 4. I'm really excited I get to be home with them at night, especially with baseball and football travel. It takes me out of a lot of weekends. I miss a lot of their events, so it's nice that, like last night, I was able to take my daughter to soccer practice. But Greg's doing a great job of the show. We have a really good group of alumni that have hosted that show over the years, and we're really excited about, with that show, just continuing to grow it and make it even more Nebraska-centric as we move forward.
Well, we appreciate being the only 50,000-watt voice now for the Huskers, so thank you for that.
Well, you guys are a huge, huge part of what we do, and we try to make sure that you guys understand that. But we couldn't be more appreciative of everything you guys do for Husker sports and for our network in specific, and we thank you very much.
Last question, you enjoying Husker Harvest Days?
I am. I try to get out here every year. I don't always make it out here every year. I think the last time I was here was 2 years ago, but I love this event. I'm a farm kid. I grew up on a farm. My dad farmed 4,000 acres growing up in Southwest Iowa. My brother-in-law works for an ag company, and he's out here today. So it's really fun for me to come out and see so many people that I know. I know so many people in the agriculture industry in the state of Nebraska. I work closely with the FFA on some projects. So this is a fun day for me, and I just love going around and just seeing, we always talk about the passion for Husker fans and for Husker athletics, but there's a passion for agriculture in this state, and it's something we should be extremely proud of because I think we do it as well as anybody.
Thanks, Lane.
You bet. Thanks, Joe.
Lane Grindle, Husker Sports Network, visiting with us at Husker Harvest Days here on the Rural Radio Network. I'm Joe Gangwish.